It is Sunday on day 7 of Contemporary-a-thon, and my cold has grown significantly worse overnight, and thus I'm going to have this delicious bowl of not healthy cereal for breakfast because it's Sunday and I'm sick. Hello, so it is about 11:14 my time on this final day of Contemporary-a-thon. I'm really happy with the way Contemporary-a-thon has gone, but I'm also really glad that it's ending because I have got this cold that is just like trying to kill me. So I'm sorry today's vlog probably won't be that interesting because I am not feeling the greatest. And with that, my plan for the day is to like not move from this spot. I'm gonna stay right here. Unless I need like sustenance or something, I'm not moving. And I'm going to be spending the day reading Sweet Filthy Boy by Christina Lauren. I'm really enjoying it. I'm about 126 pages in right now, so my plan is to finish this for today. I hands down believe I can get it done by midnight, and then I will be finished with Contemporary-a-thon. She's singing her favorite song. It's cute. But anyway, so that's my plan for the day. I just finished eating my delicious, healthy cereal. And now I'm going to continue on with reading Sweet Filthy Boy and see how far I can get. And I will update you guys in a little bit. Like I said, I apologize. I feel really bad that this vlog isn't like that great, but what can you do? I'm glad that my cold is coming on at the end of Contemporary-a-thon though, because there's no way I would have been able to do what I've done these last couple of days with finishing a book every single day if it would have started earlier. So I will see you guys soon, and I will give an update in a little bit, and George is maybe gonna cuddle me, so I will check in later. My cute baby George. He's hanging out with mommy, huh? Hello, Kikis. Yes. So today I have not moved much from this spot, and I don't even feel bad about it. I am still not feeling the greatest, but I do want to say it's 5 o'clock now, and I did just finish Sweet Filthy Boy by Christina Lauren. Actually really enjoyed this book. I read it in like a day and a quarter-ish, give or take, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I have read one other book by Christina Lauren, Beautiful Bastard, which is the first book in their Beautiful series, and I thought it was like okay. I just wasn't prepared for it. Like in the Beautiful book there wasn't like a lot of like plot or like conversation. It was all smut, which is totally fine. I like that, and sometimes you just need a good smut book, but this one delivered on both like having an actual like story to tell and smut, which I thought was just great. It made me laugh out loud at so many points that are just hilarious. Like for me, having a cold and reading this book, it was like the perfect book to read while you're sick, or even just like feeling down or anything, because there was such great humor in it. The characters are all great. I really loved the romance in this book. I highly recommend it if you're looking for like a quick read like that. It's so good. I love the accidental marriage trope where they get married and they decide to stay married for a while. I think that's awesome. It checked all the boxes for me. I think I'm gonna end up giving it 4 out of 5 stars, which is like a super high rating for me for something like this. So I enjoyed it very much. I'll probably eventually continue on with the series. I don't know how many other books are in the series. I assume probably 2 more or so, but don't quote me on that because like I have no idea. They have so many books out. But with that does bring my Contemporary-a-thon to a close. I did meet my goal of reading 1 book every day, and I'm so proud of myself. I feel horrible that this vlog wasn't more fun. It's just I felt terrible these last couple of days, but I'm ready to hopefully start feeling better soon. Maybe take a little break and relax for a little while now that I've completed my TBR. I will be filming a wrap-up probably in the next day or so, so watch out for that, and I will see you guys soon. I hope everybody had a great Contemporary-a-thon. I had a really good Contemporary-a-thon, except for these last couple of days with this like terrible cold that swept in to kick my butt, but I'm gonna sit here now and relax, watch some Netflix, probably eat some fatty foods, and cuddle with my cat. So I will see you guys soon. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you my Contemporary-a-thon wrap-up. This was the third round of Contemporary-a-thon, and it ran from the 17th to the 23rd of September. This is actually like my second time participating in Contemporary-a-thon, but like the first time that I have my channel to be participating in it with everyone. I had so much fun. I've caught a cold at the end of Contemporary-a-thon, so I feel like it's all kind of come full circle. I enjoyed all of the challenges this year. It was hosted by Julie from Pages and Pens, Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads, and Natasha from My Reading is Odd, and I loved everything. They were so great. I had such a good time. I'm so glad I was able to participate with all of you guys. I apologize if my vlogs weren't that fun. I'm kind of really boring, but moving on from that, I kind of just wanted to give a quick wrap up on what I read and some thoughts and feelings about the books that I read. I feel like I read a good range of books for this round of Contemporary-a-thon. I didn't really, I didn't hate necessarily everything I read. I had some problems with one of the books, but I feel like it was something that I went into expecting to feel that way. So I'm just gonna stop talking and get right into it. This challenge for Contemporary-a-thon was to read a book with orange on the cover, and I ended up changing my TBR for that partway through when one of my friends pointed out that the book that I had originally posted in my TBR actually is the 5th book in a series, and I was like, yep, okay, need to change it. And then so instead I picked up Sweet Filthy Boy by Christina Lauren. It's super orange, totally fits the orange on the cover. This is the first book in their Wild Seasons, I don't know if it's a trilogy but their Wild Seasons series. I actually read this book last, so the first challenge I actually completed last, I don't know. It's a romance book. It's an accidental, I don't want to say accidental marriage, but there is a marriage in it, and then they decide to stay married and try to see if they can explore the relationship further. And it kind of goes from there. I really enjoyed it. It is a fluffy contemporary romance story. It was everything that I needed at the end of Contemporary-a-thon. I read it in a day and a quarter, and I've caught a cold, so I read this while in the midst of my cold, and I was just really glad that I saved this one for the end, that I got rid of all the hard-hitting ones first, and finished up with this. I really enjoyed the characters. It was a great, well-rounded read. There was a lot of smut in it, but there was also compared to the last Christina Lauren book I had read, which was Beautiful Bastard, there's actually a lot more story into this novel, so that was really great. I actually ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars, which is amazing for this kind of a read. I really enjoyed it, and I recommend it if you think that this would sound something up your alley. I mean, it's kind of a what happens in Vegas story that doesn't always necessarily stay in Vegas. I really enjoyed it. I do plan on continuing on with the series at some point. I don't have any of the other books in the series, but eventually I'll probably continue on with it because I did enjoy it so much. The second challenge for Contemporary-a-thon was to read a dark or taboo contemporary book, and for that I actually went with All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Brent Greenwood. I listened to this one via audiobook, and I talked about it in my vlog. There were a lot of problems with this book. I mean, aside from the fact that it's built around a relationship between a young girl and a much older man. That's kind of just I feel that's just one of the obvious problems. So there's also other things in it. I talked about a part in it about kind of a domestic violence part in it that I had a problem with, and some other little things that I didn't really like about it, but I think I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars. I mean, it was okay. The writing was okay. I kept trying to guess what the whole point of the story was, and I don't know if maybe that just necessarily went over my head, but I just didn't understand the whole point of having this relationship, and I guess I just didn't understand the whole point of it. But I read it now. I can say that I've read it and I understand both sides of the argument on the book, so that's really good. It's definitely dark, definitely taboo, tons of trigger warnings for this book, so I like all the trigger warnings, so if that's something that you're wary of, please be aware of that going into this book. Do your research before picking it up. If you are interested, I think I'm one of those people who I like to formulate my own opinion about a book before just like taking somebody else's word for it. So I encourage everybody, if you know, are interested in this book or you kind of like want to formulate your own opinion about it, feel free to read it. I mean, it's an okay book. I think that things wrap up a little bit too nicely in the end for my taste. Like how it all wraps up, I was like, I don't know. But moving on from that, like I said, I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, and I finally listened to that audiobook and got that off my TBR. The third challenge was to read a diverse contemporary book, and for this I did read Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I am kind of sad I didn't enjoy this one as much as I had enjoyed her other 2 previous books that I've read, which is Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, The Upside of Unrequited. I don't know what it was. This one just didn't do it for me. I mean, I'm so sad about it too. I mean, not that it was horrible or that you shouldn't read it. I think you should definitely read this book. There's lots of amazing diversity in it, and you get to see like Simon and Bran, and they were like the best part of the story. Like, being 100% honest, I just love seeing them together. Every sort of like flash of them that we saw in the book were like my favorite parts of it. They are so cute together. But aside from that, I don't know what it was. I feel like this is kind of like her version of like a sophomore novel, I almost want to say. Like, I know it's the 3rd book that, you know, in this kind of like Worlder series, but it kind of read like a sophomore book. It just wasn't as good. I was annoyed by Leah most of the time and how she handled situations. I understand that she was, you know, dealing with like body positivity and all of that, and I understand that, and I just feel like there was really no like real resolution in that. It was kind of like one of those things like, oh, you're beautiful, and like she immediately, you know, was like this moment where she like kind of just like snap believes it, and I just was like, I just don't know. And with that, also the relationship in it, I mean, I obviously have nothing against a female-female relationship. I just was really surprised about who it was with. I guess I mean, I'm sure a lot of people who've read the book are kind of shocked about, you know, who the main relationship is. And not that it's bad or anything, but I kind of didn't see it, I guess. I don't really know how to say that, and I'm not trying to be offensive, I apologize. But other than that, I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I will obviously continue to read Becky Albertalli. I love everything she brings to the table. She is so good with diversity and representation, and I was just a little saddened by this book, but that's okay. That's okay to not like a book as much as, you know, others might like it, and I'm okay giving it 3 out of 5 stars. It was a decent read. If you liked her other 2 books, please do read this one. You get to see some of your favorite characters come back, and it's all worth that. That's all worth it. For the 4th challenge, it was to read a book in a non-traditional format, and by that time, like, I'd already listened to, you know, other books on audiobook, but I did listen to Keepsake by Sarina Bowen on audiobook also, and I'm counting this one specifically for that challenge. I loved this book. It was amazing. The True North series by Sarina Bowen is one of my favorite, like, romance, contemporary, I don't want to say new adult because they're really not. They don't read like new adult either. I mean, most of the characters are in their like 20s, mid-20s, you know, right out of college kind of age group, but they don't really read like that, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. It just gives such a good name for like all that type of genre and that age group. It's just, oh, they're so wonderful. Please look into the series if you haven't already. They're so good. There's always such a deeper meaning and message to them, and she deals with all sorts of topics. In this one, we follow Lark, who is coming back from a job and where she was actually kidnapped in a foreign country. She's suffering from PTSD and just trying to move on with her life and figure out how to pick up the pieces of everything. You also follow Zachariah, who you do meet in the previous books, who is a farmhand on the Shipley Farms, and he comes from actually like a cultish kind of lifestyle. Then he managed to escape it and move to the farm. So I loved it. It was awesome. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I've given such high ratings to all the books that I've read in that series so far. They're so good. I just love the characters so much in the romance, and you can really tell that the author is like really passionate about, you know, what she's writing about, the characters. She really cares about them, and like these stories that you can just really tell, and I really like that when you can tell. I think it makes the book so much better. So I'm so glad I finally read this, listened to it on audiobook. The audiobook was fantastic. Moving on from that, the next challenge was to read a book with your initials on the cover, and for that I actually ended up going with Stay With Me by Mila Gray. It took me, this was probably one of the books that took me longer to read. It wasn't the one that took me longest, but it is a little bit bigger of a book. But I really did enjoy it. It follows like a kind of a forbidden romance between a wounded Marine and a girl who is interning as like a, I guess you could say she's like a therapist intern at the hospital that he's being treated at, and they meet and kind of fall in love, and it goes from there. There is also a little bit of a love triangle. To me, when I had read like other people's reviews about this book and like had, you know, looked it up for myself, it seemed like it played such a much bigger role in it than it really does in my opinion. So if like love triangles really throw you off of a book, please don't let that throw you off of this one. It was great. It's over and done before like you're even halfway through the book. So I feel like it's there and it's gone. This one, 3 out of 5 stars. It's definitely not the best book by her that I've ever read. In fact, I think the first book in the series, Come Back to Me, is actually my favorite. I really enjoyed that one, but this one is good too. It's a decent read if you're looking for like a contemporary romance that can get a little, I mean, it did get a little darker at times. There were some really incredibly tragic and sad things that happen in this book. They're all like companion novels and follow characters I think that like you meet in the books or something like that. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I did enjoy it for what it was, and I'm glad that I have finally read it. I've had it on my TBR for a little while now, so now I can say that I finished it, which is always good. Next challenge, the 6th challenge, was actually to read a book by an author who is new to you, and for that I went with The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. I enjoyed this book. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as others have enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars in the end. I mean, it was a great read. I highly recommend picking it up if you're interested in it. It follows multiple characters, actually. It says that it follows 4 different characters, but there are also like a lot of other side characters that actually play some, you know, rather large roles in the novel, but it's told from the 4 perspectives. They're all have like the way that the storylines like all kind of like interconnect and run together is just so beautiful and wonderful, and this has probably like one of the most like rewarding endings. Like, it's so good. The payoff really comes at the end. It's so good. These 4 teens in Alaska who are in like kind of all different parts of the state, and they're at this time period where Alaska has become a state recently, and there is like all this division between natives and non-natives, and then people coming in from the outside, so like outsiders coming in from, you know, the US and such, and I really enjoyed it. I just, there's so many parts in it. I actually ended up tabbing up quite a few places in it that I just thought were just worded so beautifully. It really tells a tale about, you know, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and being kind to others, which is obviously so important. Bonnie Sue Hitchcock really just drives that point home, I think, in this book. And you really consider, like, I love the title, perfect title, and it really makes sense to you, like, at the end. It all kind of comes together, which is so great. But yeah, I'm so glad I read this book for Contemporary-a-thon. Since it was shorter, I managed to get through it pretty quick, which is always great. This is definitely a great readathon book. And last, but certainly not least, is probably my favorite read of this entire Contemporary-a-thon. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who told me to read this book, who encouraged me, who said don't believe, you know, that the hype isn't worth it. The hype is worth it, and it so is. So glad I finally read it, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This book is just wonderful. Like, oh, it's okay. Not only does it have like this gorgeous green cover, like, I love this cover. Like, dives into like morals and that, like, you know, not everything is black and white, that there is like such a thing as being, you know, ethically gray, and that's really like, you know, challenged throughout this book and challenges you to think outside of like, you know, good and bad, right and wrong. I really enjoy books like that, and I think that's one of the things that, you know, really encouraged me to continue on with reading this. This one I did take my time with. I think I spent the most time on this book just because I was like loving it so much, and I tabbed it up. Like, there were so many tabs in this book. I went through all of my green tabs, and I had to end up using these blue ones at the end. So that tells you how good it is. There's so many moments in this book that I kind of just want to go back and reread. It follows the story of Monique, who is like a journalist, and she is invited to tell the tale of Evelyn Hugo. To write a memoir biography about her life. It is so good, and just like all the circumstances in it, you really don't know. Throughout the whole book, like, I didn't guess how the ending was truly gonna go. Like I figured some parts, but then like other parts I was really blown away, and that's always really nice that it kind of keeps you guessing on everything. It's so good. But this story, of course, you know, Evelyn Hugo is telling her life story, and it's kind of like, I like how she's such an empowering figure to Monique. I think she's just an empowering figure in general. Like, all of us women should really, and even men even, can take life lessons from Evelyn Hugo. Like, I wish I knew an Evelyn Hugo, because she was just so wonderful. Such a wonderful book, though. I don't want to give any spoilers away. Please read this book. If you, like I've said it before, I've said it like a million times now, if Taylor Jenkins Reid is not your favorite author, that's okay. I mean, before I had read this book by her, I'd only read one other book by her, and I severely disliked it. So give her another chance. Like, this is like a redemption book. This is so good. I enjoyed it so much. I cannot wait to see now what more, you know, she puts out. I would really be interested in picking up another book by her because of reading Evelyn Hugo. So if you haven't read it yet, do yourself a favor, read this book. I very clearly gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So there you have it. This was my Contemporary-a-thon like wrap up, and I stuck with my TBR really well. Aside from the book with orange on the cover, that was the only one that I changed. I did read the 7 books in 7 days, which is like amazing to me. I'm so proud of myself for that. I would have even been proud of myself of finishing 1 book, honestly. I hope everybody had a great Contemporary-a-thon. I know I did. I have a cold from it. I had so much fun. I can't wait for the next round. If you guys, you know, read any new favorite books like I did this round, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you want to talk about any of these books, let me know, because I have lots of thoughts and feelings on them. But other than that, I will see you guys soon.